So now that you have your classroom set up, you've created a class that is working as an ensemble, you've created a creative space, a collaborative space. You want to think about what are the performance materials that I'm going to introduce to the class. And that could be maybe a class play that they're doing. Maybe you're selecting materials for your season. Maybe you're thinking of plays that they can read as a class. And you want to make sure these materials allow for diversity and inclusion. I think it's important that students see themselves in the work that they're reading or performing in class, that they're exploring. And that goes for all of the students in your classroom. So here's some things to think about. I think it's important to first know your students. And sometimes this is hard because your sixth graders, you've never met them before. But I think you're still able to do some research in knowing whether or not these students may have taken drama previously. So you're able to at least gauge their experience, if they've been introduced to some of the basic theater concepts. So I know, at least for my school district, I can go in and see students' transcripts or just students' records. And I start to look at, these students, they've had drama last year. And again, sometimes students may have, drama classes or theater class or acting classes not in school, but they take that outside of school and you may not be able to know that. But sometimes looking at your students' previous records give you an idea of what they may or they should know coming into your class. But just taking the first couple of weeks in your class, doing some of those surveys, knowing their learning style, just really getting to know them and getting to know their interests. I use that information to inform the plays that we're going to explore for the semester. I do set personal goals in terms of maybe a theme or a topic that I would love to explore for this semester or for this school year, and also things to challenge myself. Maybe this semester I want to challenge myself to direct a musical, or for this semester I want to have 3 performances versus 2 that I had last semester. So I think as a theater director, you do want to set those personal goals, maybe things to challenge yourself, or just goals that you want to accomplish for this semester, performance-wise, or just for the material that you want to explore reading in your class. So setting personal goals, knowing your students, setting goals for your students to challenge them. So if you've had your 6th graders last year and now you're having them again, now that you know them, you know their skill set, their ability, you want to pick something that's going to challenge them and push them a little bit. So setting goals for your students to challenge them. Also knowing your audience. So knowing your school community. Be aware of themes and topics that might be sensitive to your audience. Because of course you do, especially if you're going to have audience coming in, you want to be able to sell tickets. So know your audience. As I mentioned before, selecting a theme that also can help to guide the list of plays that you may select. And last but not least, read. Read as many plays as you can. Sometimes we can be stuck on the ones that we're used to or that we know, but there's a lot of newer coming out. There's a lot of new plays that I think we can miss out on introducing to our students because we can be stuck on the 5 or 6 that we're used to and that schools have been producing for generations before us. So I'm going to share a few websites that I use when looking for scripts. So there's Your Stage Partners, Drama Notebook, Stage Plays, Dramatist Plays Service, there's a SWOT list. So this is a form that was shared with me that allows me to find plays by BIPOC plays. So there's playscripts.com and there's scripts.com. So I also share these links, and you can click on them and in the discussion post under this video. And I'll just kind of share with you what those look like. So here's Your Stage Partners. And also this is a great website because they have other resources that are on here. But here's the plays section. They have one specifically for middle school. And you can filter by length. So if you're looking for one act, you're looking for comedies or drama, depending on your cast size, you can also search and find plays. So I think this is a really great resource if you're looking for material for your students to read in class or performance material for your season. Here's also Drama Notebook. So here they have royalty-free plays for middle school and high school students. And again, they have full-length plays, they have one acts, and they also have scenes. So if you're looking for your students to work on scenes, they do have a collection of scenes here. Stage plays. And again, you can search the plays by themes and genres as well. But I also like that based on your class size. So if you have a certain number of male, certain number of females in your class, or you can put in these numbers here and they can recommend a couple of scripts for you. Here's Dramatist Play Service. So again, you can also search play scripts for schools, professional theaters, small cast, large cast, new release comedies. So you can select the genre here. You can select your cast size. And also search for new releases and new plays here as well. Here's the other list that I mentioned. So these are just lists of plays. They list like the common themes. If you're looking for Curtis plays or plays by a certain playwright, they also let you think about other plays that are similar to that. That has a little bit more diversity in terms of the characters, the topics, the playwrights, and the things that you can, if you teach this, you can swap it for this. So that's a very cool list to also view if you are used to just presenting like our traditional plays and you want to think of more new playwrights or more plays with diverse characters. And that's a very good list to look at. There's also playscripts.com where you can, there's also playscripts.com where you can also search to find your play. They have a specific area for middle school theater. So if you're looking for plays for your students to read or produce, they have a specific area. They also have theater for young audiences. So depending on the type of script that you want, you can find it all here. And last but not least, we have scripts.com. And you can also search here by title, genre, writer. And I believe this one has a lot of musical musicals that are on here. So if that's something that you're interested in doing a musical, you can find the script here. So those are just some resources if you're looking for material for your class to produce or to read. And I'll have all of these links posted under the discussion post. My last topic that I'd love to talk about in terms of best practices for the beginning of the semester, last but not least, is to find your community. So now that you set up your classroom, you are creating a sense of ensemble in the room, you have figured out the plays and the performance materials that you'd like to have your students explore that focus on diversity and inclusion, and your students, they're covering topics that your students are interested in, and your students are getting an opportunity to be represented in the works that you're exploring in your class. I also think it's important for you as the teacher to find your community, to find your support system. And that can be on online platforms such as the Godot community. There are other Facebook and social media groups, connecting with other teachers within your district or teachers in other feeder schools. And if you don't have access to all of that, having a reflection journal where you can reflect on your practices, looking at what works. So I would encourage you to, if you're watching this just from YouTube, make sure you connect with us at the Godot community. We are here to support you. I will be posting other videos covering other important topics that I think will be beneficial for you as a theater educator. Once you are in the platform and you're in the group, you'll find these videos under the discussion section. If you have any questions, comments, I'd love to hear about what are your best practices for the beginning of the semester. How do you set up your classroom? How do you create a sense of ensemble and create a safe, collaborative, reflective space for your students? And what do you do when you are selecting your season or selecting plays that your students will read and produce in class? Again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Please stay connected. Again, I'm Jodine Henry, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.